Good morning and welcome to Market Opening on our brand new collab show between Business Today and India Today TV. Just after 9 a.m. and we're here to get you ahead of the curve as markets kick off trading for the day. Let's look at what's hot in the corporate and financial space this morning. Rare record on Wall Street, all three major indices hitting new highs together. Investors bullish on raised US GDP growth estimates and a relatively strong jobs outlook. Japanese markets also jump ahead of an expected rate cut later today. 32 months after serious allegations were leveled against it by global short seller Hindenburg, the Adani Group gets a clean chit from SEBI. The capital markets regulator says allegations could not be established and there's no question of any liability or penalty. Group stocks likely to see a gap-up opening. Top semiconductor rivals turn partners as Nvidia plows in $5 billion to buy stake in Intel. Under the new product partnership, Intel will develop custom CPUs to integrate with Nvidia chips. Intel stock shoots up 23%, Nvidia up more than 3%. Apple's iPhone 17 hits the stores today with the new orange color sparking a buying frenzy. Initial pre-bookings in India have already outpaced last year's iPhone 16 launch, signaling robust festive momentum. Analysts say Apple is up for one of its strongest Diwali quarters yet. India-UAE move to finalize bilateral trade in local currencies soon. At 13th Investment Task Force meet in Abu Dhabi, Commerce Minister Piyush Goyal and Abu Dhabi Investment Authority's MD Sheikh Hamid reaffirm payment integration, digital currency and wider sectoral cooperation. All right, let's take a look at the global setup first. US markets soaring high on the back of the Nvidia news. Nvidia plowing in $5 billion to buy stake in Intel. Let's take a look there. S&P 500, NASDAQ, Dow Jones, and a rare record where all three indices, in fact, were seeing those high levels yesterday overnight. And there you have some of the other tech action as well. Keep an eye on Apple, of course, with all the action in India today. Nvidia was the one in the news, of course, 3.5% higher in trade last night on Wall Street. Asia this morning also looking good. Japan's Nikkei in particular in focus. Remember, watching out for some amount of rate action coming in there today. They're counting in a cut. Now, the other big news that we're tracking today, and first let's actually pull up the Nifty, take a look at the pre-open setup and what it's indicating this morning, and then I'll get to some of the big news makers as well. But right now it's looking like just a flat start. Yes, there you have it, pretty flat at the moment. The big news we'll be tracking today, SEBI has given a clean chit to Adani Power Group companies after the Hindenburg allegations, of course, had created complete havoc on Dalal Street about 32 months ago. Hindenburg has dismissed charges of insider trading, market manipulation. Remember, Hindenburg alleged Adani entities flouted SEBI's norms. SEBI's now given a clean chit to Rajesh Adani, Gautam Adani and 3 others. Now, allegations had been made against notices in SEN and they've not been able to establish anything. So there's no violation of the SEBI Act, and that's really what's coming in over there. So clean chit coming in, no violation of SEBI Act provisions on fraudulent and unfair trade practices, no violations such as market manipulation, insider trading, or misstatements, no violation in substantial acquisition of securities or control inducing investors to buy or sell. All allegations made against notices in SCN have not been established. That's SEBI coming in on the Adani Hindenburg case. And this is important because remember, SEBI giving a clean chit to the Adani Group counters on those Hindenburg allegations is important because it was something that really hit the stocks about 32 months ago and have dismissed charges of insider trading and market manipulation. Hindenburg, just to remind our viewers, had alleged Adani entities had flouted SEBI norms. They've now come out, SEBI has come out and given a clean chit to Rajesh Adani, Gautam Adani and 3 others as well. I want to just take you through the market capitalization of the 10 listed Adani Group companies had actually plunged from about 19 lakh crore rupees, that's $227.8 billion, in January 2023. Now that's a day before the Hindenburg report, just one day before the Hindenburg report, to 12.24 lakh crores, and that's 144.9 billion by November 2023. That's the kind of impact the report had back in 23 when US courts filings on alleged bribery charges had emerged. It was an extremely tough year for the group. It actually eroded investor wealth and sentiment, and that's why we're looking at it so closely today, and we'll also discuss it with Mayuresh, who'll join us in just a moment. Now, since then, Adani Group stocks have gradually been recovering, though they remain still below pre-Hindenburg levels. Over the past 2 years now, returns across the group have actually been fairly mixed. We've seen Adani Ports, of course, top of the charts, and we'll discuss that because that one has seen about a plus 70%. And lots of brokerages also looking at Adani Ports very positively. Motilal Oswal, in fact, talking about a potential 29% upside, citing expansion into logistics, marine services as key growth drivers there. So Adani Ports has been looking good. And Adani Power, of course, has been looking good. That's also been up about 68%. So Adani Power, and you've got Morgan Stanley on Adani Power as one example of the kind of overweight call we've got coming in with an 818 rupee target. Again, talking about strong earnings growth outlook from timely project, new PPAs, and a rise in capacity and EBITDA forecast as well. But let's take a look at some of the other stocks in the group, and that's really where we're seeing underperformance at this point. Adani Green Energy, Adani Energy Solutions, Adani Total Gas, a whole host of these counters actually haven't managed to see too much, returns and have actually still been lagging behind those pre-Hindenburg levels. So let me bring in Mayuresh Joshi, who's joining us this morning. Mayuresh, keeping an eye on some of those Adani Group stocks on the back of the news that SEBI has dismissed those Hindenburg allegations. We remember the pain the group stocks went through back in 2023. Want to get your perspective, Mayuresh, for an investor to look at this holistically and understand also perhaps if they are looking to invest where perhaps it is a better idea or a better investment opportunity, because clearly the returns have been mixed across the group.
Morning, Amar. No, absolutely, I think, and that's well put in terms of how the group performance has been. But largely, I think attributing to the final order that's come through, I think the sentimental effect on stocks will obviously be seen in today's trade. However, from a medium to longer term perspective, I think most of the segments that Adani is present into, whether it's power to Adani Power or Adani Green Energy, as far as the renewables is concerned, or even in their cement foray through ACC and Ambuja, I think most of these stocks should probably see a positive impact from government policy in the first place. Renewables expected to expand to around 500 gigawatts. A large part of that going to be a mix of solar, wind, and hydroelectric, where Adani is going to play a major role. At the same time, when you're expecting urban, rural, affordable housing, infra growth, ports growth, then generally, I think capital expenditure happening from the center, I think cement stocks should come back in focus. So I think from a focus area perspective, and ratings and rankings as we see it, outside Adani Ports, I think Adani Power might be one stock to probably look at. ACC from the cement pack is something that can do well as well.
Great, Mayuresh. Thanks for putting that in perspective for us. We're also counting down to the opening bell, so I want to get your view on the markets as they stand. Nifty, it's been a fairly exciting week, of course, with new closing highs, and we're seeing a lot of overnight action on Wall Street as well.
No, remain positive. I think the entire perspective, Abba, is whether earnings will recover. And in our own sense, earnings should show significant amount of recovery as we get into the second half, specifically Q3. And as that probably transitions in terms of better earnings growth for most sectors, specifically, I think the consumer-facing sectors, I think you're probably going to see significant amount of earnings revisions starting to take place. Earnings becomes the base factor, and therefore, as earnings improve, most of the other macro data points, including fiscal consolidation, which remains in place, corporate debt to GDP, I think very much in place. And that probably remains a triggers for the Indian ecosystem from a macro as well as a micro perspective. So I think maintain a positive stance.
All right, great. Let's take a look at those opening ticks on your screen. Just heard the opening bell ring there. And a little flat this morning right now. Nifty is just about flat. 25,409 is what we're looking at. Remember, we were expecting it to be a little quiet post the Fed meet action and after the recent closing high. But there's really no concern at the moment. It's not like we're seeing selling action either, but just very, very quiet on D Street this morning. There are a whole host of stocks in news as well. We'll pull up some of them. First, let's take a look at some of the movers today. Adani Enterprises, Adani Ports, no surprises. Adani Group stocks first on your screens to move on the back of that news this morning. In addition, we've got Auto continuing to contribute, some of those financials also continuing to contribute. Maruti Suzuki has cut prices by up to 1.3 lakhs after the GST rate slash. That's Maruti in the news from the auto pack, but we're also seeing some of the other auto counters just buzzing. On the downside, we've got some of the okay, let me just pull up Maruti for you, up about 0.3% over there. Let me run through some of the other news makers. Biocon, they've got Yesafili added to Ontario's public drug formulary. So let's pull up Biocon in case we're seeing any action coming in there. FMCG stocks as well, with the government easing a compliance burden on the industry while ensuring benefit of reduced GST for consumers. So let's pull up some of those consumer names. Pretty flat this morning right now. Some of the broader market names have been in focus. So like, for example, rail counters. Let's pull up a Texmaco on Order Buzz. That one's actually in the news this morning. We've got renewables, infra stocks, as well as of course, continued buzz on some of the broader market financials as well. So let me go across to Shell, who's also joining us this morning. Shell, what are you catching on opening ticks? And also, what should we be keeping our eye on this morning?
Well, Abha, I think Adani Power is the stock to watch. A fresh record high at 8% uptick, 682. Remember, this is also headed for a split 5:1. So the run-up happening on 2 or 3 reasons. One, of course, the clean chit that has come in. 2, the underlying coal business of Adani Power is something that a lot of analysts take great hope on. That's doing extremely well. Adani Enterprises 4.4% higher. Both of these are the 2 top traded counters on the National Stock Exchange. And of course, you have their cement business. These are the 3 where there is absolutely no question mark on earnings, on sales growth, and therefore these are on the watch of at least sensible investors. Adani Ambuja Cement now about 1% higher. ACC, it's a smaller unit, 1% higher. That's happening. In terms of all-time highs, well, ancillary 5 commercial vehicle maker Ashok Leyland 1.5% higher. Maruti you mentioned, no stopping two-wheeler maker Eicher Motors. So the mood on Friday is fairly okay. The Nifty down 51, nothing to be worried about. It's gained about 1,050 over the last 14 sessions. Some of it the market will take back today ahead of the weekend. Abha.
All right, I do want to go over the Adani news once again for some of our viewers who may have just tuned in, given that the biggest reaction we're seeing this morning is on those group counters as expected. SEBI coming in with a clear chit on the Adani Group with regards to those Hindenburg allegations. Let's take our viewers through that. Adani Power, Adani Enterprises, and that's why you're seeing that kind of traction on those stocks this morning. They've dismissed charges of insider trading, of market manipulation. Hindenburg, if you remember, had alleged that Adani entities had flouted SEBI norms, but a clean chit coming in for Rajesh Adani, Gautam Adani, and 3 others as well. We've been tracking, in fact, Adani Power, as Mayuresh and Shell both pointed out as well, given some recent brokerage reports as well on, some of the potential moves and earnings growth on that counter with capacity and EBITDA forecast, for example, by Morgan Stanley, set to rise by 2.5 times to 3 times by FY33. That's the kind of outlook coming in. So, Mayuresh, I'm going to come back to you on this simply because clearly that's where the focus is this morning. And I know you, you mentioned your view on the stock, but if I could come back to you and just go a little deeper in on that as well, in terms of the kind of potential upside you see on an Adani Power, let's say, over the next year or so.
So I think, Abhay, if you probably elongate it a little bit longer as well over the next 2 to 3 years,
Of course.
because I think that's where the government focus is in terms of power generation targets. I think as capacities go higher, and because a large part, as Shell mentioned, of the capacities will be backward integrated in terms of either the full mine access or otherwise, I think that sheer as perspective itself will lead to better volumes and better numbers. Obviously, I think realizations is itself going to be very, very important. And again, I think there are certain reports which suggest that the peak demand in terms of power might actually be fourfolds over the next 7 to 8 years. So somewhere down the line, I think numbers are going to be very substantial for a lot of these power generating companies, and Adani Power having a substantial share, both in terms of expected renewable capacities, should do well. So I think EBITDA growth, the bottom line growth should be far higher compared to where volumes and top line growth might be 2 or 3 years down the line. So from a target perspective, I think a 4-digit is possible for the next 2 to 3
Oh,
years.
wow. Wow, fantastic. So we've got Mayuresh actually giving a 4-digit call over the next 2 to 3 years on Adani Power. Great. Thanks so much, Mayuresh, for putting that in perspective for us. Shell, coming back to you on some of the other movers today. I know you also had L&T Finance on your radar. Talk us through why that stock is looking good to you as well.
Well, Abha, I think L&T Finance has been the star outperformer as far as the Nifty mid-cap index is concerned, the top gainer as far as the year-to-date change is concerned, 82% higher, and at 247. This is something that a lot of sensible investors continue to look at for various reasons. One, the tailwind behind L&T Finance is pretty strong. You've had a GST rejig, you've had a strong move coming into as far as gold loans are concerned. Two-wheeler loans are rising dramatically, and of course there is a very, very heavy demand for all kinds of loans coming in from L&T Finance. The company in its quarterly statement said that it's also looking for sequential 5% growth as far as the top line is concerned, and it might add 200 gold loan branches as far as expansion in the physical realm is concerned. So macro tailwinds, a strong quarterly push has seen the stock hit record highs. Remember, 82% higher, and it's not cheap at all. If you look at the price to earnings for L&T Finance, it's 23.2. The median 5-year PE is somewhere like 17.3, and the price to book for L&T Finance stands at 2.4 versus a 5-year price to book of about 1.3. So an expensive stock, but very, very strong macro tailwinds, a very good balance sheet, and of course, as far as markets are concerned, the stock has appreciated very well. Please do consult an independent financial advisor if you enter L&T Finance at current levels. Abha.
Okay, that's the stock in focus this morning from our markets editor. Now, Commerce Minister Piyush Goyal has struck an optimistic note on India-US trade talks since they are on track and moving in the right direction. He also expressed hope of a quick deal with the UAE. Let's listen in.
US discussions with the assistant USTR happened 2 days back. They were productive and are working on the right track. As regards the relationship with UAE, it stands on its own legs. It is underpinned by trust, possibilities and opportunities. And for India, no two relationships are commingled or depend on each other. The US relationship is a very strong, comprehensive, strategic partnership between two friendly countries.
Okay, we're almost out of time, but Mayuresh, before I let you go, any other themes or top movers you'd like us to keep an eye on?
Also, I think auto ancillary as a pack, Abha, is clearly where the focus is. Obviously, autos are expected to show a huge swing from negative volume growth, as a lot of managements expect, to a very positive volume growth, price cuts which have got initiated after the GST rationalization. And obviously, I think expectations of significant growth expected to act as levers. I think auto ancillaries as a space can continue doing well. The second space is energy. I think we spoke about our Adani Power. Generally, I think certain energy stocks, whether it's in the generation or the transmission space, or certain EPC players, would benefit largely from the growing ecosystem expected order wins expected to come through, and therefore better numbers on the balance sheet. From a consumption perspective, because of GST rationalization, hotels as a space, we continue liking that. Stocks like Lemon Tree, as an example, is somewhere our belief is can continue doing well from an earnings perspective. Certain footwear stocks, I think, might do well as a sub-segment as significant discretionary spending starts coming through. And FMCG as a space should see volume and value growth come through on their balance sheets.
Great, Mayuresh, thanks so much and have a good weekend. Talking about the weekend, the wait is over for Apple fans in India as the much anticipated iPhone 17 officially goes on sale in India, and excitement has reached fever pitch with thousands of customers lining up outside Apple's official retail stores in major cities like Mumbai, Delhi. Shoppers have queued up overnight in locations to be among the first to get their hands on the cutting-edge devices. Let's go across to Asta Chopra from the BKC Apple store.
Well, yes, you're absolutely right. Apple's iPhone 17 has entered the Indian markets today. The pre-bookings were open on 12th of September. And as you can see behind me, we are right in front of the BKC hall. And there are a number of people here, about 2,000 to 3,000 people lined up since 2 in the morning. And we have a customer here who has just purchased 2 iPhones.
17 Pro and 17 Pro Max.
Okay.
One for my wife. I purchased 3. One for my son, one for my wife, and one for myself.
Oh, great. So did we see you at iPhone 16 launch as well?
Yeah.
So you were here and you're breaking your, you're upgrading
my
every
mobile,
year.
guys, yeah. 16 Pro Max and 16 Pro I have. I've upgraded to 17 Pro Max, 17 Pro Max.
Okay, so what do you like in this iPhone right now?
Made in India color, orange color. Our flag color orange. That is exciting. And when the shape is changed, the design is changed, camera is back, and when the processor also good.
Okay.
I'm very excited too.
So what about the price points? Do you think that
all are reasonable price. 149 is reasonable.
149 is
149,
reasonable?
150 out of approx.
So you're well excited. How, since how much, at what time were you here?
Last night only.
You were here last night?
Last night. I was in queue and last night and got right now.
You got
more than 24 I'm here. Last night I was right 8:30, 9 o'clock, and now it's 9:30.
So from Mumbai?
Yeah, from Mumbai only.
Okay, absolutely. So will we see you next year as well?
Yeah, 100%. Hope to see you.
Thank you so much, sir, for your excitement and lovely speaking to you. Well, as you can see that people are here since last night in the morning, and we will just hop inside the store as well, and let's show you what is the Apple phones talking about. There are 4 models right now. 4 models right now. We can see the colors right here. So this is the Apple BKC. And here are the lovely phones which are lined up here. This is the iPhone 17 Pro, first phone. So now the talking about the iPhone phone as well. And this is iPhone 17 Pro as well. The different sizes now. The best information we are getting from iPhone that the iPhone Plus range has been replaced by iPhone Air, which is a very sleek and slimmest phone at length. And people are having here, and the price point is about 1,20,000. So iPhone Air is the slimmest and has no SIM slot, but it will contain the eSIM slot at most. And these are the ranges which you're seeing right here. The colors you can see orange, white and blue. Now here are the excitement we can see about the people. Over to you on the studio.
Lots of excitement around that new iPhone. That's all we have time for on the show. Thanks so much for watching. Stay tuned. Lots more coming up.